Hey everyone, welcome to Kernels where we discuss short films. Today's short film is Salting from 2024, directed by Eddie Yelling. Eddie actually sent this and another one of his videos to us through Instagram. So if any of the listeners, have any short films that they would like to suggest for us to watch and review, by all means send it to us via Instagram, YouTube comments, however, and we'll find it somehow.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, this is pretty. This one's a different one. I think. I think this is going to be like a different conversation where it's like what this is like. This is what reminds me as like if you're into like video games will come out with like, oh, here's a tech
Teasers.
demo,
Yeah.
and like it's like more showing what like their new engine can do or like what type of gameplay they're putting out. This seems like that where it's like, oh, like I got a new camera, so let me see what the footage looks like, or I'm testing out editing software and stuff and different things like that.
Yeah, it felt like Eddie has an idea for a full story, but wasn't able to complete the filming of that entire story. He was only
Mm-hmm.
able to film it in pieces and put those pieces together just to kind of get a reel or an understanding of like, okay, this is where I can take it, or this is what I have so far. Which direction can I take it from here? Is how it felt.
Yeah, yeah. I did get like a Christopher Nolan feeling to it. I don't know if it's just
Yeah.
because of New York and everything, New York or just any big city has that kind of like. But when you add like some cinematic flair to it, especially with a lot of the shots during this kind of like um, demo, that's what I kind of got. Where there's like a lot of still images too, where like the
Mhm.
actors like there, and just kind of life is going by. That's kind of what I get from this too. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't need, once you said that, it made me realize like it does feel because it's very character focused. So you're following the one main character throughout the reel, and you're watching as he interacts with the city and the people, but it's mostly just focused on him, and things are just going by in the background. So yeah,
hmm
that does feel very Christopher Nolan. I didn't think about that when I watched it.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. Like there's like drone shots. I'm assuming from because
Yeah.
there's a lot of over the top kind of like looking down on the city and stuff, and then there's that shot where like he's like walking into the train, like he's on the train station platform, and then it's almost like the dude was or like someone was carrying a camera and kind of like followed him through
Yeah.
the which totally it's got to look really weird when you actually see it in person.
You're just walking through the street and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah. But it looks
but
cool. I like it. I really like that shot.
But this shows, and I think most of the shorts that we watch, like they show that, or in the newer age shorts that we watch, show that with the technology that we have, anybody can make a film on like little to no budget.
Right? Yeah, I would like to know uh from the director Eddie as to like maybe in the comments or something as to like the video, like what did they use, like here's the camera that I use for these shots, like here's the drone that I use, what the camera connected to it, because I think that would give me more reason to say if someone's like super interested in like learning how to like create a movie or something or like shoot things. I think it's also necessary to provide like what did I use in that scenario, because this if you're doing this, it almost kind of like comes up as like a learning experience for other people to watch it.
I'm kind of on the fence about that. Like it's kind of great to know what the other filmmaker used technology wise, but it's also like, okay, I see what they did. I want to try to either replicate or create my own with what I have. Hey, maybe I only have an iPhone or an Android,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm going to try to do my best to make something just as good as this. So I'm on the fence about like the filmmakers giving out the technology that they used.
I guess that's true. Where it's like if someone that's like brand new to filmmaking or really wants to get into filmmaking,
Mm,
if Eddie decides to provide like details of what they used,
yeah.
and if that's outside of the early filmmaker's budget, then you're like, oh, it almost
I
kind of like
can't even
limits
start.
that, where it's like, oh, I'm not going to do
Yeah.
anything then. Yeah, that's true. Where it's like your phone, the thing sitting inside your pocket typically can give you that kind of look and feel too. And then
Yeah,
the editing software can do that
yeah.
too.
Like it's not going to be. It may or may not be Hollywood worthy, like a look, but it's a start. I think that's always the most daunting thing is starting. But like once you get that going, it's a breeze.
Right? Yeah, that's true. Where it's like, yeah, I think that's where it kind of goes into like who I would recommend this to. Where it's like,
Hmm.
since it is like a tech demo, like tech demos with video games, I'm not gonna send that to like someone who like casually plays video games. I'm gonna send it to like my brother who plays video games all the time and be like, oh, look at this like new thing that they're creating for this like upcoming game. You have no clue what it's about
Yeah.
most of the time when you're seeing that. And that's the same thing with this, where it's like you get a sense that there's a story probably, but there's there's only like a little breadcrumb of what that story
Mm,
could be. But you see as to like what the initial style of the director can look like and what they're kind of like going for. And I think
yeah.
that's like what like when you're recommending this, like say for you and everything, like oh you're interested in making films or taking photography and stuff, where it's like people that are into the nitty gritty of things would enjoy this. Where it's like
Yeah.
oh like how did they get this or something, or like let me see if I can get that same shot myself.
I agree. Yeah, and in
Mm-hmm.
those cases, you want. I think a cool way to kind of provide the technology or the cameras and lenses and all that were used. Maybe just put it in the description or make maybe an Instagram post or a social media post saying like, "Oh, hey, check out my short film or check out my reel. This is what I used in order to create this." I think that would be a cool way instead of um, maybe putting it in the title or yeah, putting it like out front so everybody knows. Like giving it, still giving the information out, but doing it in a different way.
Yeah, it almost kind of like opens the door for like doing a little bit more digging
Hmm.
as to like oh or also like I think it's like it's also like this like talking to other people is very taboo nowadays, I guess, because
Yeah,
even so, it's like it almost kind of should open the door. And it's granted if like Eddie, the director, wants to, or even small directors that do these short films or kind of like short videos on YouTube, but reaching out to them directly and being like, hey,
yeah,
like, how'd you get that one shot that like what was the dude carrying or the camera guy carrying when you were doing that shot at the
yes.
train station? So,
Like,
like,
do you have
how was
any
that? Was
behind
that
the
a
scenes of
gimbal?
that?
So yeah, I guess like opening that door for discussion, because then it's like everything like we all know we've gone to school for many years and stuff, like learning kind of does need a collaborative kind of like togetherness of stuff, like hey, how'd you do that, needs that discussion and stuff. So I think that would be interesting, and if Eddie
And
would like to discuss that.
yeah, and it starts if you're trying to go down the path of becoming a filmmaker. It gives you that network, like your
Mm-hmm.
first initial person in your network. Like similar to us, one of our early Kernels, the director M.W. Daniels reached out to us on Instagram, and him and I chatted, had a like a video call and all that. So you're through this. I started building a network,
Mm-hmm.
and then with people reaching out to us, sending us different shorts we should check out. That's just growing the network even more.
Yeah, and it kind of makes it exciting because like you find other people that have the same like
Interest.
interests, thought processes, and stuff, and like attention to detail, so to speak, of
Yeah,
like filmmaking. Because like attention to detail for filmmaking and photography is like also with this like this podcast that you have to put together. Sometimes attention to detail is there, but sometimes
like
I miss
that's
it.
all we
But
got. We'll figure it out. Hopefully, they still like it.
yeah. Well, I guess the last question to you, it's like, do you like do you want to see more of this?
I think I want more background of the story first. Um, I think, like you said, with the breadcrumbs, like if there were I always thought it would be cool if somebody gave out like a short film or a movie in segments.
Mm,
So if this was like the initial segment, like, hey, this is the real, to build anticipation, almost like a trailer to build anticipation for the actual film itself, I think that would be pretty cool. So
yeah.
yes, I am interested in seeing what else is to come.
And whether or not salting is the title, and then how is that related to like the
Oh, the
the story,
overall,
overall
yeah,
story and everything. Yeah, I would like to know as to why the dude's yelling at himself in the mirror and stuff and all this, but yeah, it's like is it like a solitude type of like living in a big city, but you're like very like living in solitude within all those people and stuff. So but again, it's like I would like to see more of Eddie, and I think we have a second video that we're going to be watching in the
yeah,
future and stuff. So I think that's what kind of like builds that interest of like, all right, what else can this person do? But
yes,
but yeah,
yes,
so we'll link the video salting in our description below, and so it's found on YouTube, so you'll be able to find it there and watch it. And please let us know if you already seen it, if you liked it, disliked it, what you thought about it. In the comments below, and like Al Kai said, let us know through social media or even in the comments below this video if you have any recommendations for short films that you would like us to watch and then discuss on Kernels. And so yeah, remember to like and subscribe to Saturday Night Popcorn for more Kernels like these.